Next, please.
Next is oral communication. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the redevelopment agency may question or respond to a speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The matter may be referred to staff through the executive director for investigation and report.
Okay. And do we have any oral communication cards, Mr. Clark?
One moment. Mr. Alejanian, is this oral communication or on the item?
Yes, we have one. Mr. Agakani.
Good afternoon, Mayor Weaver and council member and city staff. My name is Armand Agakanian, and I'm here for the proposed possible meeting of the investors at the Glendale Hilton. This is something that was brought up last meeting. And again, I encourage the council to consider the fact that
It's on the agenda?
Well, that's on the agenda on 6A. You want to just, why don't you finish your...
I just hope that you do consider the fact that we're going to have investors who are going to be coming here, and I know there's going to be picketing outside. I do hope that we do consider another location, like the Civic Center, because I believe that these businesses are here to help the city and all the businesses. So hopefully you do consider a different location where I know for some investors it will be very uncomfortable to come to a location when you have a lot of people picketing for livable wages. And do consider this fact that livable wages will bring back money to all the businesses in the city of Glendale. It's a basic economical factor. You pay people more, they're going to spend more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This was my last oral communication card. What's next, please?
Next is a business agenda at 6A's Director of Development Services, continued from January 9, 2007, regarding Invest in Glendale Seminar and development of a promotional DVD. At 6A1 is motion authorizing expenditure of up to $20,000 to fund the seminar and development of the DVD for the purpose of increasing Glendale's visibility within the investment, corporate, and development community.
Okay. Mr. Lansing.
Mr. Chairman, members of the agency, the motion itself gives you an idea of what we're trying to accomplish. We would like to hold an event in Glendale to expose ourselves, if you will, to the corporate community, to investment, to developers that would want to come and invest in Glendale. We would like to highlight some of the exciting things that are already happening here and that are being proposed to happen here. The project includes an event, a lunch event, as we had originally planned, the production of a CD that could be used for other marketing purposes, as well as a takeaway booklet that might outline some of the projects that we're going through, the major projects we're going through now and that are being proposed. During last week's conversation, the issue that was referenced here in oral communications, the labor issue was raised, and staff asked to have the opportunity to go back and look for alternative venues. We have, in the short time, given the holiday, it was a little difficult to pin down, but we have come up with several ideas, alternative sites, if you will. We could do anywhere from Oakmont Country Club, where we could accommodate the number of people we're expecting, 200 to 300. Brandview Collection is right in the middle of our downtown, where some of this investment is taking place. We have looked at we'll be talking to the Alex Theater to see if there's an open date for them. We can mold this event to take on any shape we want, given the venue. What we're most anxious to find from you today is if you are supportive of the concept, so that we could go ahead and start spending money to get this thing produced. One of the other venues, if it's a choice of another venue in Glendale, we can come up with one of those with a specific date.
Okay. Mr. Quintero.
I am supportive of the idea, and as you know, not supportive of having it at the Hilton, where, as the speaker mentioned, it will be met with pickets. So I don't know what kind of face we're going to present to investors when they're confronted with people and and bullhorns and so forth, workers, I should say. The brand view is a very good idea. As a matter of fact, you can actually physically see the town center from that corner. That's a very good idea. So is the Alex, and actually at the Alex, perhaps we could have some of Glendale's restaurants provide food stations. So there could be a sampling of 8, 9, 10 Glendale restaurants and do it at the court or in the interior of the Alex. So that's two good alternatives right there. The Oakmont is another one, although it's a little far from the downtown center. But either of those works for me. The Civic Center, we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars upgrading the Civic Center, so that's another potential location. But the Alex or the Brandview, I think, would be an excellent idea.
Mr. Menuki.
Yes, I'm all for the idea. However, what are we trying to accomplish? What by doing this? We're spending $20,000 for promotional items. Well, what do we get in return, and how do we know that it has accomplished anything?
We are looking to, as I say, expose Glendale to these
Are we not
communities.
exposed enough? That's the question that comes to mind.
We-
The town center coming in, we have a number of new concepts coming to the downtown. We have a hotel condo coming in, and people are, investors are very interested in Glendale at this point, especially in the downtown with the rezoning on the DSP. What is the additional benefit that we're going to get by spending this $20,000?
It's a chance to extend ourselves to, say, the corporate community. We have a significant amount of office space available that we could have brokers come in, start talking about these exciting things that are happening in Glendale, and they can take that information back to businesses and corporations that are considering a move and have another tool to show Glendale.
Do we have any data saying that if you do this, you will get more offices leased?
No, we don't. Oftentimes, when we've done that in the past, the cost to build in the evaluator, if you will, was almost as much as the cost of the event itself, or the ad, or some other thing we've done. So
I also understand that the office market and the vacancy is diminished at this point. Is that correct?
that the office market.
We have less of vacancies for office space in the Glendale.
Yes, but there's still 700,000 or 800,000 square feet that we would like to have marketed in our downtown.
How are we, spending the money is fine, but how are we going to know what we accomplished or whether we accomplished what we set out to do? Are there any indicators that we can say, okay, because of it, now we have 600,000 square feet of office space available?
We wouldn't have specific indicators like that. When we have produced materials such as our Open for Business guide, the brokers have used those in their dealings to bring business here, to bring investors here, to talk about Glendale. This would be another piece like that in a different medium. So specific indicators, no. Whether we said because of this we attracted 500,000 square feet of business, we would not have that. But it is another piece, another tool that the brokerage community, the development community can use in trying to sell Glendale to their clients.
Mr. Najarian, then Mr. Quintero.
If I may ask one more question, did the communities that you just mentioned, development, investment, did they request such a thing?
No. Part of our economic development program, though, is to develop materials to help those people bring investment to Glendale, bring companies to Glendale. That's part of our ongoing economic development program.
Okay.
A couple questions, Phil. Is this going to be a charged event? Are we going to charge the attendees to
No,
attend?
they would be our guest.
Okay. And are we going to be serving them, aside from Mr. Quintero's suggestion of food booths, were it to be at any of the other establishments that were mentioned, would there be food served, or what kind of thought do we
We
have?
would do a lunch. We would center it around a luncheon, so that there would be a lunch served. The reason to come to Glendale, there would be a presentation with a keynote speaker. We've been able to secure Jack Kaiser chief economist for the LADC, to come and speak on specifically on Glendale. And then we would have other presentations from the staff on some of the zoning that we've recently implemented, from our development services staff on some of the major projects that we have, some of the public infrastructure improvements that we're going through now, and then we would debut this DVD.
The other comment I'd like to make that Mr. Mnuchin brought up is the effect of advertising. And a lot of times it's very difficult to assess the effect of your advertising in whatever industry or whatever product you're selling. You never really know, except perhaps for real estate brokers where, let's say, there's an open house, they go in and the attendees sign their name, and then at some point, I know they keep very close track of who signed in. They could say, aha, this person came to this open house and he or she is my client, and you can track it that way. But if we don't beat our drum, who else is going to do it? Certainly the other cities are out there in many different media and many different ways espousing the benefits of their city. So I think even though the results might not be completely tangible, I think it's a good idea to go forward with that.
Following that line of reasoning, I think it starts with the targeting. I think we have to target specifically companies that are going to be or going to have the wherewithal to do something. I don't think it has to be a blanket marketing effort. And then the most important thing is obviously the follow-up. When people come in, to make sure we get their business cards and the staff follows up, because there's no question in the long run that DVD will bring us much more business than a one-day seminar. But I think it's not a bad idea to sort of get to as many people as possible in the business community to consider Glendale. As I talk to people throughout, Southern California, sometimes they're, on the one hand, they're familiar with Glendale, and then on the other hand, they really aren't, other than they know there's a lot of tall buildings in the downtown. So we can offer them opportunities on San Fernando Road and so many other areas.
Well, following up on what you just said, I think the follow-up would be important in determining who changed their mind or who got interested because of first the luncheon and following with the DVD that's going to be presented. So let's not just spend the money and say, here it is, but let's do it and then follow up and see what kind of interest was generated maybe the following 6 months or so to determine what happened based on the efforts that we did.
That's a good idea. We will definitely follow up just so we know how to target our future efforts to see what was actually worthwhile in this presentation. Did the video or the marketing materials, what's the most effective? So we'll make sure we have different means of following up to see what kind of an outcome came from it, if nothing else, to help us target future activities and actions.
Well, as for myself, I think this was something that kind of brought this up to my attention when I had attended another seminar given out by a development community in Los Angeles. And let me read you an email that was sent to some of us that had attended that meeting. The big thing in Los Angeles: downtown Los Angeles residents, community, and business leaders will be on hand when Mayor Villaraigosa presents Ralph's executives with a key to the store. Opening a Ralph's in downtown Los Angeles is big news. Big news, because people in downtown Los Angeles don't have grocery stores to go to. And as I attended that conference, it was amazing the stores that they were vowing to get to the core of the downtown. Coffee Bean, Tea Leaf, Cold Stone Creamers, Rubik Juice, UPS Store, Quiznos Sub. These are places we have in our own core of the downtown. And as I spoke to some of those developers, some didn't know where Glendale was. The others had no clue that we had all the infrastructure in place. And they didn't even know if they could build anything in this city or move their business into this city. So I thought this would be a good idea to do this. And the issue with the video is, I've gone to the ICSC conference, which is held in Las Vegas every year, a huge convention for all the shopping malls. They show up over there, all the businesses show up over there, and there are cities much smaller than us, like Duarte, and they have a whole booth and literature, and they talk about what is it that they offer. Last time we had one little kiosk, I guess, and we had some literature in there that basically talked about Glendale. Wasn't very exciting, wasn't very interactive. So I think having a video or a DVD that tells this big business owners who want to relocate or move their headquarters to a location, getting a DVD that says, you know what, Caruso came to this city because, and Caruso would say it with his own words, Disney is here because, and Disney says why. Why is DreamWorks here, and have an executive from DreamWorks saying that? Why is McGuire here, and have somebody like that? And I think hearing from the leaders of the business community, it will have a lot more impact than any politician standing around and saying, trust me, come to my city. Because you know what? Every single politician is going to be saying that. And that's why I think having this type of a DVD that we could use maybe for about 3-4 years will be a good thing to have, to go out there. And you always, any advertising doesn't work unless you follow it up. So after you do all of this thing, you get those information, then somebody from redevelopment agency would have to call and say, can I answer any more questions? Are you thinking about relocating your business to the city? What can we do? What your needs are? And so on and so forth. And in the process, some of them may say no, and they may tell us what our shortcomings are. Then we will also find out, well, why didn't they move? Because there's not enough hotel space, or it's too dense, or so on and so forth. And I think that is going to be very instrumental. And $20,000, it's a small price to pay for a long-term positive impact for the core of the downtown. As far as the Hilton issue is concerned, I don't have a problem with it being in Hilton, but I do agree you want to put the best face forward. So as far as I'm concerned, while I don't get involved in any kind of labor issues between a private organization and their labor, I do think that we need to have it in a location that it puts our best face forward. And so I think Brandview is a good location. You could open up the drapes and people could just see the site right then and there. It's there. And Oakmont is fine too. So to me, the venue is secondary. I think to me, the first thing is we got to take the first step, approve this and move forward and work on the DVD so we can have it done. My understanding is I don't think you're going to be able to get this thing done by February 22nd.
It would be very tight at this point. We'll still need to go book a venue, make sure that our speakers can be there, as well as produce the DVD. So we may spill into the first week of March.
Okay. But the DVD will be ready for the next ICSC conference?
The DVD will. We may, actually, if we push it back, we may be able to mass produce the DVD and be able to pass it out to people right then and there, as opposed to following up.
Okay.
On the 22nd, we might be hard-pressed to get that number of DVDs produced.
And a packet that they could take with them? Okay. All right, I have a couple of speakers on this item. Angela? Angela Bio, I think. Pardon? Reed. It's a R. Okay, sorry. Your name for the record, please.
Angela
Sorry.
Reed, R-E-I-D.
Oh, okay, Reed. Please, start.
I am a worker at the Hilton Los Angeles Glendale Hotel. It's really an honor to see all you all again. I've been here almost a year ago, and I spoke to you before about the labor issues at the hotel, and I am here today because I understand that you do have a redevelopment agency event being held there. As you know, the hotel is currently under a boycott that was unfortunately launched by the workers of the Hilton Los Angeles Glendale Hotel. We did not want to do it, but we knew that we needed to find some way for the management to listen to us, and this is the biggest way for the management to listen to us. We tried to get support from the city council before on moving your holiday party, and it was not moved, and we were forced to do a picket line for the event party. There's other issues that as long as the management of that hotel is going to fight us, we're going to do as much as we can to ask them to let us organize the way we want, let us vote the way we want. And we desperately need the support of the city council on this matter. We understand you are thinking about moving it, but we would really love the respect that you would have for us if you wouldn't move your party, because the hotel is officially under a boycott. And any kind of support that you all can give to the workers at the Hilton Los Angeles Glendale Hotel is a touch to our hearts, because we are fighting very hard and very desperately for our rights to have fair working condition, reasonable wages, and just a lifestyle that we should be comfortable in. I can't live in Glendale because I can't afford to live in Glendale. I wish I could, but most of my co-workers do live in Glendale, and they are here in this city. This is a beautiful city, but I live in South LA because I can't afford to live in Glendale. And this hurts me because I've tried a few times to move here and I just can't do it. But I do work here. I do spend money at the Glendale Gallery. I do eat in the restaurants here. So I am a contributor of Glendale, even though I don't live here, but my co-workers do. And we just ask anything you all can do to support us would mean so much to us. We don't want to cause interruptions to any parties that are at the hotel. We love our hotel. This reflects us, but we cannot sit by and let our rights just go away. This is something that we're all very passionate about, and something that we will strive for until we get what we deserve as workers here in Glendale. And we just ask for your respect for the workers, and to please, whatever you can do for us by moving any events, any parties for us, we would really appreciate that, because the hotel is officially under a boycott that you all know of. And we're pleading with you to support the workers at the hotel. And thank you.
A question of the young lady?
Ma'am?
Obviously, you've been listening, and there's been a mention of a few other locations for this event. Were it to be held at another event, would you or the union still attempt to picket, or to
if you move it to a different venue, we would absolutely have no reason to picket your event if it's not at the hotel. It has nothing to do with your event in particular. It's just the fact that right now the hotel, we are telling businesses to please until the management does right, until the owners do right by the workers. We're asking the people to support us and to move their parties. If your party is not at the hotel, we have no reason to interrupt your party at all. Okay. Thank you, Harry. Thank you.
Herbert Milano?
Good evening. My name is Herbert Bolano. Mr. Bob Yusefian, members of the Redevelopment Agency. For a long time, I have come before you to express a goal that we have measurable objectives with regard to the goals of redevelopment or the goals of housing. And in the past, I have actually made inquiries with regard to an evaluation on how we are doing with the outcomes of redevelopment vis-a-vis Burbank or Pasadena, since these are the usual cities that we compare ourselves with. And a report from about 4 years ago actually was it was a study done by the Daily News, showed that we as a city are lagging far behind Burbank and Pasadena with regard to our sales tax. So I figured the sales tax revenue is a fairly good indicator of how we're doing from one year to the next. We have within the redevelopment agency, in this particular department, an individual who is responsible for an economic development. And I have actually gone to redevelopment to ask, what are the projects? How do you measure objectives? What are the objectives? How are we doing vis-a-vis these other cities? And I found to my dismay that there really aren't very many. Sounds like the main approach is to say, let's have a cozy relationship with the automotive dealers of Glendale, and that is sufficient enough. And I think that there are many reasons why many businesses would probably be leaving Glendale or will not be aware of the opportunities that are here in Glendale as a business community. I think that the DVD that you're planning to prepare is a step in the right direction, but I think that there are many opportunities that we need to take to make use of our website to indicate all the opportunities. I cannot imagine why we don't have within our website a listing of, the new businesses that have just come into Glendale, tie in with the Chamber of Commerce and display them and say, here is a new business that's come in, let's support it. Or let's take another business approach to take a look at the number of commercial lots that are available and make that part of the website of the City of Glendale to ensure that those particular properties turn into income-producing properties for the property owners. Now, I want to take my opinion with regard to the objectives of redevelopment. The objectives of redevelopment is not only, enhancing certain parts of the city for the purpose of removing blight, but also to increase the economic opportunities for certain individuals or for individuals within the city. From all of the documents that I read concerning redevelopment objectives, our goal is to create jobs as well. And it doesn't seem to make sense to me that we would go out and spend millions of dollars to give to a developer of a hotel and then have subsistence wages or wages that are not allowing the individuals who work there have the type of wage that they can live in Glendale properly. If we make an investment of $10 million for a hotel or $20 million for another development or $77 million for another one, I think it behooves us that those individuals at the lowest rung have a wage, a living wage that is appropriate. And when employees at the very bottom of the rung are not getting that, we should take a look at how it is that we set up these redevelopment projects that do not allow these individuals to have that sustainability. I think that many of the cities, as part of the redevelopment project, have that as a goal, that if we are going to invest our tax dollars for a particular project, that at the very least those individuals who are earning the least are able to sustain their families properly. Otherwise, we will see the impact of those families at risk on the children that are not getting the support and on children that eventually will not make it through to high school. So it is my hope that the redevelopment agency take as part of its projects a living wage proposal to any new development that it funds with our taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Astoya. It's my last card. If anybody wants to speak on this subject matter, please bring your cards forward.
Good afternoon, Greg Astorian, RE/MAX. I think it was Mr. Ford that once said, half of my advertising dollars go to waste. The problem is I don't know which half. I thought I'll just put that out. But it isn't every day that the redevelopment agency director and I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with him that this venue needs to be in the core, in the middle of downtown, where you folks have championed the rebirth or the renaissance that is upcoming. And what a better place other than Alex or Brandview. As you said, Mr. Chair, on the westerly side of Brandview, you open the curtains, boom, you're right there at the Caruso's development, Americana at Brand. It's a wonderful idea to flaunt, to announce, to put people on notice that Glendale downtown is arriving. Also, they have great food. With that, I thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Quintero.
I'm ready to make the motion.
Go ahead.
I just want to ask one thing.
Mr.
The
Weaver.
motion is not about the location, but whether to go ahead with the promotion, correct?
That is true. We would
Reading
like
the motion.
We would like some direction in the motion, though, whether or not to go to an alternative venue.
I'd like them separated.
We do need to lock that down.
I'd like them separated.
Okay, well, I'll make two motions, but I'm definitely going to propose an alternative site. So I'll start by moving 6A1.
Second?
The motion is second. Well-
If I may, I would like to add what was discussed here today in terms of follow-up. I would like a follow-up maybe 6 months and a year after we do the DVDs to at least for us to know how much success we've had in promoting the city.
Well, actually, I think the follow-up needs to be earlier than 6 months. It's-
3 months and 6 months.
Yeah, because it's like real estate, you send out all these brochures, and then people show up to your open house, then you need to call them within a week, because they got lives, they probably went to 4 other things, they forgot who you are. So you need to call them a little bit earlier and do that. There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Agency members Menuchyan?
Yes.
Najarian?
Yes.
Quintero?
Yes.
Weaver?
Aye.
Chairman Yusefian?
Aye.
Okay, I now propose that the redevelopment staff look at an alternative site for the seminar, including some of the locations that were mentioned this afternoon.
Second.
Alternative to the Hilton.
Alternative to the Hilton.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Agency members Menuchyan?
Yes.
Najarian?
Yes.
Quintero?
Yes.
Weaver?
No.
Chairman Yusefian?
Aye. Motion passes. What's next, please?
Mr. Chairman, we will report back to you when we have secured a venue and a date certain for it. It will be around February 22nd into the first week of March.
Okay. And on one thing that I think is extremely important on the DVD that's going to be used for several years, design it in such fashion that is timeless. As you know, we have had some procedures that we basically said no council member on tapes or whatever. But I think on this case, maybe you can have the city manager, who is the executive director of their agency, maybe he can start up by saying something, and then all these business owners to follow through. And that's it.
We are looking to use testimonials from investors, business owners, specifically why they chose Glendale. And so we hope that it will accomplish just that it's timeless.
Okay. Thank you. That concludes this items. Is there anything else?
Any agency member or staff comments?
Hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We're adjourned. We have a joint meeting?
Okay, yes. No, study session.
Study session.
Okay, I'd like to call to order a study session of the City Council for January 16, 2007 at 3:09 p.m. And we have a roll call.
Council members Menuchyan? Najarian?
Here.
Quintero?
Okay.
Yusefian?
Here.
Mayor Weaver?
Here. Do we have the report?
Discussion of mobility study, parking, TDM, funding, and financing. This is a study session.
Okay, I guess we're getting closer, Mr. McFall, to finalizing the mobility plan after, 2 years?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, as there's been a number of sessions on different aspects of the mobility plan. Today is going to be talking about parking and transportation, and John Bagdanian, our traffic transportation minister, will be opening up and then turning over to other individuals. Yeah, John?
And what is your preference in this as we go through 30, 40, 50, 80 slides? Do you want us to let you go through or constantly interrupt with comments, or how do you want it structured?
Mr. Mayor, I think it's your pleasure. I think there are some areas that will necessitate some questioning that I'm sure Bonnie won't mind could be interrupted. We have two specific areas. One is the parking management. The other one is the TDM. So maybe we can go through the parking management, take questions on that, finish that, and then go to the TDM portion, and then have Bonnie present the TDM portion, and then have questions and answers on that, because they're somewhat separate from each
Okay,
other.
we'll go through one and then questions. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, today, this afternoon, we have the downtown mobility study, parking management and TDM component of the study. These two are being highlighted today because we felt that considering the number of policy issues that the council has to decide at a later date once the mobility plan is approved, we wanted to get an indication and input from council as to how to make sure that we have included your input in the final plan before it gets presented and approved to council. Under the parking management plan, we are going to discuss parking rate structure for the surface lots as well as the parking structures. We're going to talk about parking meters, installation of meters on Brand Boulevard and adjacent streets, so we need input on that. We're going to talk about parking management district and how revenue generated in the parking management district can be used in terms of a fund that could be, again, dedicated to various improvements, infrastructure improvements, transit, and future parking expansions in the downtown area. Talk about wayfinding signs to improve the signage to our parking facilities to guide visitors and employees. Also recommendations on our parking requirements that will be discussed. That's the in a very brief level is the parking management portion. Under the TDM portion, Bonnie will be discussing the adoption of a new TDM ordinance, strengthening our current existing TDM ordinance, discussion as to the city's role and the TMA organization in the city and how they can improve mobility in the downtown. And then we will be further coming back with recommendations on the TDM ordinance as part of the implementation to the City Council. So we need your input as to what the formation of a TDM component in the mobility plan, as well as the structure of a TMA that would be strengthened as part of the mobility plan. We have also presented components of the parking management program to the brand merchants to get input from them. We also invited them to be present today so that you can also receive input from the merchants' perspective on the parking recommendation that we will be presenting today. So with that, Bonnie will walk you through the study and the recommendations, and then we have some key dates that give you how we're going to proceed as far as bringing this back to City Council for your consideration and approval in the upcoming months. So Bonnie Nelson from Nelson Nygaard will make the presentation.
Mr. Yusefian.
I have one question. Has all of these documents been seen or shared with the Planning Commission and Parking and Transportation?
We have shared parts of it, part of the mobility plan. This document has not been shared with both commissions. We will be presented to them, and we have a date set for them.
Afterwards?
Afterwards,
February
yes.
21st.
February 21st.
So we do not have a way of knowing what their mindset
This is a
was
study
on.
session.
Yes. You don't have, that's correct. You don't have their input yet. We wanted first to present to council before we take it to the respective commissions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. As Mayor Weaver correctly pointed out, first of all, thank you very much for having me today. And as Mayor Weaver correctly pointed out, this is never a short presentation, so I hope everybody is comfortable, and we'll make it as quick and painless as we can. Because the mobility study is such a broad document covering all modes of transportation and mobility in downtown Glendale,